What's up, y'all? Sparty here. So, for this video, what I want to do is I want to do a quick 4K video rendering test in iMovie on the iPhone 12 Pro Max. Now, what Apple says and what Apple claims is that the A14 Bionic is the fastest chip on the market, and it just stomps everything on the market when it comes to 4K video rendering. But what I've shown in a lot of my testing in the last couple videos is that is not the case in both Power Director and KineMaster. The V60 is the one that's the fastest right now. So in iMovie, what I want to do, and I'm not going to break down the features of iMovie, I'm just going to talk strictly about video rendering and what it does when it comes to like splicing clips, putting them together, and then rendering them out to 4K. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit that. I'm going to do save video, and I'm going to go down to 4K here. On my V60 here, funny enough, I'm going to go to the timer. If I can find it. Oh, there's right there. I'm going to hit start the same time I hit 4K, and then I'll come back to y'all when it comes to, when it's done. So here we go. All right, I'm going to put this clip in the video as well, but as you guys can see, it's rendering right here on the iPhone 11 Pro Max. I keep doing that. iPhone 12 Pro. I guess I missed the 11 Pro Max, but the iPhone 12 Pro, and it's at 2 minutes 15 seconds right now. It's not even halfway through. So what I'm guessing is that it'll probably take over 5 minutes to render. We'll see, though. I'll let you guys know when it comes down to it. Okay, so let's do that here. All right, y'all. Here we are again, and it saved the video, exported it to my gallery or photos, and 4K HDR footage. The first clip, it's the same two clips I used for the comparison when it came to the FE and the V60. So 4K 60, HDR 10 plus on the first clip. The second clip is just regular 4K 60 footage, and it took 6 minutes and 5 seconds. So what do I unpack? How do I unpack this? How do I talk about this and not sound like a snide dick, basically, or an elitist or something like that, right? So even using Apple's own software with their hardware, and just so you guys can see, it's actually the iPhone 12 Pro Max. I'll overexpose the fuck out of it. iPhone 12 Pro, not iPhone 12 Pro Max, iPhone 12 Pro, flat sides, the graphite color, triple cameras on the back. Apologies for the lack of detail. This is a low lit situation, and I am just using a little lamp up in the corner, so just bear that in mind. And let me show you guys here. Let me go to Open Keep Notes.
What do you want it to say?
Oh my God. Open Google Keep.
Opening Keep Notes.
I don't know why. Okay, whatever. Let's go here. Oh wait, no, this isn't the this doesn't show the video rendering times that I did do. So come on, S20, Christ. So you know what I might do? Actually, you know what I might do? I might re-render this video on the V60 at 4K 60 on KineMaster, and I'll see if it does the exact same thing before I look at these numbers. So let me do that real quick. Okay, so just so I show you guys, same video, 6 minutes, 14 seconds or whatever, 4K 60, high bit rate, It's gonna take 5 gigs out of my storage, which sucks, but it's whatever. I'm just gonna delete it anyway. But we're gonna do this. On the iPhone, let me go to the clock so I can do a timer on here. And yeah, we're gonna do this. So I will be back. All right, so I'm back, and what I realized is that I forgot that on KineMaster I did render it to 4K 30 because at the time I thought the S20 FE wasn't able to render at a 4K 60, but I forgot to go into the experimental settings and actually set it to render at 4K 60 on the FE. So I re-rendered it in 4K 60 on the V60, but the problem is on the iPhone, what the iPhone did was that it's playing these clips back at 30 frames per second. So that means that this 60 frames per second clip that's on the iPhone that I took with the V60. If you've been watching my channel since I've had this phone, it's an AT&T phone. Because you guys can look, right? The S20 FE could not handle that at all. Like when I tried this, that looks really clean. But in terms of what, like I was saying, it's choppy. In terms of what I'm planning, yep. I really don't like the player in iOS. It's kind of weird. Whereas on here, like when I tried this, that looks really clean. But in terms of what, like I was saying, in terms of what, look at how clean that is. Yeah, I'm getting that. Look at how much smoother that is. And this is coming stock from the V60. HDR10 plus footage, 4K 60 frames per second. Now, what I will say is really nice about the iPhone is that I accidentally put an 8K clip in here, and it was able to render that. So that's really nice. Whereas on the V60, I don't know if I can do it in KineMaster, but I can't do it in Power Director. So that kind of sucks. But overall, it did render the clip faster. I think it was like 6 minutes, 45 seconds on the V60 when I did do it to 4K 60. But the problem is it lowered the frame rate to 30 frames per second. So I would assume that it just went to 4K 30, which means that if I'm judging it by 4K 30 frames per second render times, the V60 and the S20 FE still beat it by a minute. And the V60 beats it by 2. So it's still not great. It's not terrible, but it's getting closer to the amount of time the amount of time that the clip is, right? And to me, that's not really that impressive on iMovie in particular. Anyway, when you go to KineMaster and you go to even then when you go to KineMaster and you do 4K 60, the V60 still stomps it by a minute. So it's like even in iMovie, it's not looking like it's beating other options out there that give you more control over what you want to do with your clips. So that's all I really want to say when it comes to this, really. iMovie is a perfectly fine option, but I think the issue that I have with it is that it's just so limited. You can't color correct. You can't really do anything on your own. You got to, again, do what Apple gives you. So it's not really that great. And this is what I mean when I say there's more than just the output of the video when it comes to, whether or not something's the best content creation platform or the content creation phone, right? To me, I'd still say V60 and like Sony Xperia 1 Mark II because they give you those controls. And it's just, and Samsung does too, but the phones aren't focused around that. That's not one of the focuses of the phone. Whereas the V60 and Sony phones, that's the focus of the phones, right? Is to be a content creation monster. And that's the problem with the iPhone. It's not really meant for that. It's meant to be an all-rounder, but they're pushing it. They're pushing it as a pro, so they're putting all these other features in. Oh, we need to have this feature to beat everything else on the market, even though nothing supports it yet. It's the problem that I have with a lot of stuff, right? Where Samsung says 108 megapixel camera, but the output is still at 12 megapixels. Now, to be fair, the V60 is also defaults to 12 megapixels, but you can still go to a 64 megapixel mode on the V60. So it's just something that I want to bring up, mainly because this is what I do, right? This is what I like to talk about. And let me go back to auto here. Oh, it ain't gonna let me reset. Fine. Uh, yeah, I'm watching Harry Potter, whatever. But yeah, it's just what I want to say because this is really interesting. And I'm not trying to say the iPhone is slow, but these people are doing speed tests of opening apps still and still saying the iPhone is just better based off of that. And if you're getting a 12 Pro or a 12 Pro Max solely to just browse the internet, you're wasting your money. And that's all I really want to say. This phone is definitely, oh, I know what it is. It's the ISO. No, it's not. It won't let me reset anything, which is stupid. Okay, there we go. So that looks kind of weird. But like I said, you're kind of doing yourself a disservice buying this phone if you're just going to get it for the basics. It doesn't make sense. You get the 12 mini, get the 12, but the 12 Pro and 12 Pro Max have their name for a reason, and they shouldn't just be used for average consumers because that just doesn't make sense. Like, because they're not utilizing any of the features Apple is pushing, right? Like, I wouldn't recommend a V60 to anybody that isn't going to do content creation or isn't going to use this glorious quad DAC headphone jack. Because if you're not going to use that, why get the phone? Like, why not go for a cheaper option? And that's all I really wanted to say on that, right? Well, let me know in the comment section below what you guys feel. I guess I don't know what to call this video, but we'll see. This is Sparta. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for support. Hope you guys have a wonderful, I keep forgetting the day, Tuesday, whatever time of day it is in the area. Have a good one.